Horrified. Now this is a really cool, interesting themed game. A lot of people like to play it in October because it's all about the universal horror movie monsters. So you've got Frankenstein, Bride of Frankenstein, you've got Dracula, the Mummy, Invisible Man, all that kind of stuff. So think classic monster movies. So this is a fully cooperative game where you take on a role of an investigator trying to save the townspeople who are being plagued with monsters. And what's cool is you can kind of set the difficulty of how you want to play it with how many monsters are in the game at one time. I think it's like 3 or 4 or even more if you want it more difficult, because by the end you have to be able to knock out all of these monsters as a group. And it's a very bright and colorful game that you can play for 1 to 5 players, and you're essentially going around the map trying to collect items, which are both color-coded and named locations on the map. And also as townsfolk come up, you have to go to them and kind of take them and like walk them to wherever they're trying to get to. But you can't die too many times or let the townsfolk die too many times, because then your death track goes up, and if it gets to the end, then you lose, unless you can, of course, knock out all the monsters before that happens. Each monster is unique. They all come with their own little miniatures, and they have their own board that kind of explains their special moves and special abilities, and especially how that you're supposed to defeat them. But everyone's around, like involves rolling a die, and it involves, choosing how many or which things you want to do based on a certain number of actions that you're given as your character. I think usually it's 3 or 4 actions on your turn, which could be move, or it could be gather an item, that sort of thing. It's a lot of fun, and it does play, it's very family friendly. I know like the theme of monsters isn't necessarily, but it's not meant to be gory, it's not meant to be scary. It's just a very like fun themed type of game where they tried to make it as accessible as possible. So you could play this, with your young child, even if they've not seen the movie, because these are just, again, like classic monsters that people are already aware of. You don't have to explain too much about who they are or what their motives are. But it's fun, and being able to work together, it's not as competitive as other games where you're worried about playing it correctly because you're trying to win. But if you're working together, this one's just a lot of fun, and it doesn't take too long. I believe it's like a 45-minute game, maybe an hour or something like that. Maybe more if you have more players. But Horrified is just a really cool take on like a horror-themed game that includes the whole family. So definitely check this one out.